studio?
Think so.
Wherever we are in the building, it's cold in here. We're going to talk some D-backs here now, though. Exciting times for the Diamondbacks with Ketel Marte being announced as the starter at second base for the National League. And I guess we'll just kind of start there. Ketel Marte he's had an all-star season. He was in and out of the lineup at points earlier in the year with injury, and I know you were out there, Blake, pregame. You had a chance to be part of the media scrum that caught up with Ketel, and he kind of said, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it sounded like he was confident, no matter if he was injured or not at points this year, that he was going to end up getting this all-star nod.
Yeah. He said that he knows how talented he is. He knows what kind of baseball player he is. He is a very faithful man, gives glory to God in all circumstances, but was just he knew he missed a month of the season, so he's expressed his gratitude to the fans, especially Arizona getting behind him. I know it was between him and a Dodgers player for that final starter spot for the National League, and especially for Arizona to rally behind a guy like Ketel and get it over the big bad Dodger blue fan base that has lots of fans behind them is pretty impressive. So,
they still got,
especially the second straight year. This is the second straight year that Ketel is an all-star starter.
The Dodgers have 3 of the 5 starters in the infield, and
that's not
Shohei at DH.
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of Dodgers there. So yeah, good for the Chick-fil-A campaign, and the Cardinals were putting out stuff on social media.
I think Torrey said he got 20 fans to vote on the spot at Chick-fil-A. So
hey, there you go. Maybe those 20 fans were the difference. You don't know.
That's marketing 101.
There it is. Some of the stats here, I'll read them off from the D-backs release here. You mentioned the consecutive All-Star selections as a starter. He is the first National League second baseman, Ketel Marte is, to have that happen and that honor since Chase Utley started 5 straight games from 2006 to 2010. He's the first ever D-back to have 3 All-Star fan elections. So he's the first actually D-back to ever be elected by the fans 3 times to the All-Star game. So that's pretty exciting.
Well, D-back fans certainly like Ketel Marte.
And they for very good reason. So yeah, Ketel Marte has kind of been the mainstay. You could look at what we're going to see in the next phase of voting. More D-backs could still make it. Will Gino Suarez join Ketel Marte? He's kind of had an all-star caliber year. Corbin Carroll probably would have been in the mix for the All-Star game, but his injury rate now means he will likely not be there in Atlanta for the Midsummer Classic. But what do you think when you look at this roster? Shelby Miller's a guy as a bullpen arm that could get some All-Star consideration. For me, it's Gino Suarez should probably be the next guy. If there's another D-back to make it, it should probably be Gino, right?
Yeah, just looking at the all-star caliber across the league, to me, in terms of spots that are most likely available, I only foresee Gino Suarez in that third base spot in terms of D-backs representation on the NL roster. And Gino, it speaks for itself. I mean, he's had 20-plus homers. He's one of the power bats in this D-backs lineup, which is, quite a turn from where we were a year ago to where Gino was possibly
we thought he was going to get DFA'd, or
Correct.
They were going to just cut ties with him. He was struggling so much.
Correct. So getting him back in a rhythm this year, I think he's put together a really solid season. The month of June for him was outstanding. He had over 300, had, I believe, over 10 homers and several RBIs. So I think that last push before the All-Star break, too, might get him in. So I'd love to see Gino get in there.
He definitely deserves it. When we're talking All-Stars, too, let's give a shout-out to Jacob Wilson.
Yes.
He becomes Grand Canyon University's first ever Major League Baseball All-Star today. Jacob Wilson will be the starter at shortstop, representing the now technically Sacramento A's in the All-Star game. Formerly the Oakland A's, currently the Sacramento A's, futurely the Las Vegas A's. But Jacob Wilson is the first All-Star starter at shortstop as a rookie since 1960, so that's some big-time baseball history, and the first ever Lope to be elected to the All-Star game. He was also, last summer, the highest ever drafted GCU baseball player. So this was kind of in the trajectory for Jacob Wilson, but very cool to see him not only crack into the show as early as he did, but have the rookie season that he has, as he's had, and then ultimately earn this All-Star selection. That's when you do something for the first time in baseball since 1960, that means you're doing something right.
Yeah, no, Jacob Wilson, he's been an outstanding talent since he was over at Brazil Field at GCU ballpark. I mean, that guy was a top 5 pick coming out of GCU, and when you gain, that just goes to show you can play baseball pretty much anywhere in the country and you'll get eyeballs on you, considering he was able to come from a program that recently only became D1 about a decade or so ago, and he won 3 straight WAC championships when he was there. He was the best player that's ever come through GCU. All-time leader in hits, all-time leader in RBIs, I believe, up there in homers, and this has just continued to be on his trajectory, and his rookie season with the A's has just been remarkable. He's continued to be on the fast track to the major leagues. I think he was only drafted a couple of years ago, so he is just he's really a star in this league, and as a rookie to get a nod like that at shortstop, a big-time position.
And the fans voting him there, too.
Yeah, it just goes to show the kind of attention he's generating around the league. So definitely will be fun to see him back around his old stomping grounds next spring training.
Yeah, we're about halfway through our Fox 10 Talks Sports here. I want to transition a little bit into kind of the state of the Diamondbacks, if you will, right now. They got swept by the Marlins over the weekend. When they got swept by Miami, they dropped below 500. You think, all right, maybe they're starting to slide out of the playoff picture a little bit. Well, then what do? They rattle off a couple wins. They could, if they win tonight, it'll be 3 straight over the Giants. Now they're over 500. They're only 2 or 3 games out of the wild card again. This team is giving me whiplash. Like, I can't keep up with if they're good or bad. Win streak, losing streak. It's a tricky spot for Mike Hazen to be in right now because the injuries to the starting rotation, all the guys that had Tommy John, they're not coming back. They won't be back until at some point next season. The offense has really never been the issue this year. They have had injuries like the Corbin Carroll, Guillermo Vargas, Gino Suarez missed a couple games. Josh Naylor's kind of got some nicks and bruises right now. But through it all, the offense has been okay. It's the pitching staff that has been injured, and then the bullpen has blown just so many games this year. If you are still hovering around 500, if you are like they are right now, 2 or 3 games out of the wild card, it is such a tough spot, at least in my opinion, to be Mike Hazen. Do you buy? Do you sell? Do you stay in pat? If things just kind of continue this trend for the next 2 weeks and they are about 500 and where things stand, what do you think the best course of action is for the D-backs?
It's a tough spot, like you said. It's going to be some tough decisions for Mike Hazen, but at the end of the day, this pitching bullpen has got to get resolved in some way, shape, or form, whether that's getting rid of some of the arms you currently have and trading them, almost like, kind of swapping, using a bundle of them, plus maybe some draft picks to go out and get a big-time reliever or ones that's available, a restricted free agent of some sort. There's got to be something for the D-backs to do to resolve these bullpen issues because, again, like you said, I think it's if they're around 500 or if they're like a few games back of the NL wildcard spot right now, they've got to go out and get some arm relief because what's currently been happening has been too inconsistent, too unpredictable. It can't be super reliable.
Megan and I have joked when you get to the 8th or 9th inning that we feel comfortable if they're up by like 6 or 7 runs. Anything more, anything less than 6 or 7, and it's
just the other night, Ryan Nelson pitched a gem. 88 pitches through 7 innings was fantastic. No earned runs allowed. And then Torrey comes out and takes him out. And the fan base was pretty upset because he was pitching gem. First pitch, two-run double into the right center gap on the bullpen arm. Game gets tied up at 2-2. He misses out on that win. And Torrey said after the game, I might be the most hated guy in Arizona right now, but I believe in the pitch count. I'm going to try and take care of these guys' arm. I mean, you got to consider it from his perspective. He's already lost Corbin Burns to Tommy John surgery, so you're losing a key part of your pitching rotation.
And they've always leaned heavily on the analytics, and that's not unusual for Torrey. They've done this for a long time.
So I don't think the fans can get super upset with that because, again, if you lose Ryan Nelson at this point, and when you've already lost J-Mart and Corbin Burns to Tommy John surgery, you just can't afford that.
No, and you could even go back. I mean, A.J. Puck done for the year. Jordan Montgomery, before the year even started, he has Tommy John. The tricky thing, too, when it comes to this trade deadline, and we only got a couple minutes here, so we'll start wrapping up, is if you look at the guys that could be movable pieces, you look at maybe a Zach Gallen, a Merrill Kelly, a Gino Suarez, a Josh Naylor, and the reason, Blake, I bring those names up is because they are all on the final year of their contracts. So if you are going to move pieces, you would be leaning towards moving pieces that, one, are having good years. They're movable, tradable assets that you could get something back for. But also, if you hold on to them, you run the risk of course, if a guy's a free agent, they could walk for nothing in the offseason. You don't get anything in return. And you also could find yourself in a position where you finish the year right at 500, you miss the playoffs by a couple games, and then those guys leave for nothing. And I'm not advocating for blowing this thing up. The D-backs are a very good team, but when you look at the injuries they have sustained, it's just going to be really hard to overcome that. And if the product on the field is where it is right now, and about an average baseball team, considering all the injuries, then maybe it's worth entertaining. And it's hard because those guys are fan favorites too. They've been here forever, but only because of their impending free agency do those guys become coveted assets on the trade market.
Yeah, I don't think, given the spot that the D-backs are at, that any bets are off. I think everything is on the table, especially for those guys that are on their final year of their contract. Even though Gino Suarez is having the year he is having, I don't necessarily know if the D-backs are going to trade him just because of how valuable he's been to the lineup this season, maybe unexpected. Also, the offense, they don't need as many assets for to reload in terms of what needs to be fixed to get this thing on the right track. So I think if anything's going to be traded, it's going to be pitching assets. It's going to be maybe bundled with draft picks to get some relievers that can help out this bullpen, because it's just, that's the side of the ball that's been costing the D-backs games this season.
We know from the sample size, when the D-backs bullpen is at its best, they have that solidified closer, and they kind of work backwards. When they made the run to the World Series, it was Sewald, it was Ginkel, it was Ryan Thompson, Andrew Saalfrank was part of that mix as well. When guys have their roles solidified, that is when that bullpen has been at its best. And basically, from go this season, that bullpen has been kind of all over the place, just with injuries and guys unfortunately being moved in and out of the bullpen in the lineup because of injuries. But it'll be an interesting couple weeks. If you're a Diamondbacks fan, I think you probably just want clarity right now. Are they going to string together a bunch of wins and get firmly back into the wild card mix? Because if that's the case, then we don't even have to have this conversation. There'll be buyers at the trade deadline. But we are ultimately a few weeks away from the deadline, the Midsummer Classic, the All-Star Game. You'll be able to watch it here on Fox 10. That'll be the next kind of big baseball marker coming up, and we'll be able to cheer on Ketel Marte and hopefully, fingers crossed, Gino Suarez as well. For Blake Niemann, Robby Baker, we'll be back on Friday with more Fox 10 Talk Sports.